I'll pick up where Kylie might have been about to go. Gary E asked a question in the Q&A section. His question was, how do we shift from our obsession with growth? This question arises from the idea that for the world to live like the average Australian or other Western society, we need about 4 or 5 Earths. So we need to reduce our resource use and or our population size.
Yeah, we've been having this discussion this week, and in fact, I've been undertaking a big global foresight exercise, which is what are the key areas across the globe. And of course, one of the biggest ones is actually the GDP. Why are we still using GDP? So, and it's interesting because we can actually measure natural capital and human capital. And so we've seen health and well-being actually improve globally. But of course, natural capital across the globe is declining because we're relying on our natural resources to improve our health. So we have to, one, shift the indicators. UNEP has been advocating for a shift in inclusive wealth indices, but also considering natural capital and as part of countries' reporting. But this question about growth, and some people call it degrowth, some people call it other things, we are certainly exploring it. And the one thing I will say is globally, young people in particular are talking about how we actually move away from that growth paradigm and how we actually change production and consumption, because we cannot keep consuming at the current rate, so particularly if we've got future generations in mind. That requires big behaviour shifts and an acknowledgement by communities that we actually need to change. And my observation about Australia is that it's a very comfortable country, and it is very difficult for people to want to change because they're perhaps not facing some of the hardships elsewhere. And I think if a country like Australia, with its wealth and with its innovative population, you've got great science. I mean, really, we've actually got good legislation comparatively as well. It's always interesting. And I mean, everything from labour laws. It's quite interesting when you look at it globally. I really admire what we have in Australia. But I think if we could demonstrate different measures and different ways of actually operating sustainably for other countries, we could actually be a leading light. But that's a tough one because it is the metric that's commonly in use. It's used by most countries. It's what's reported. And we are trying to get changes in those metrics. But in terms of that growth paradigm generally, that's a behaviour change. That's behaviour change on steroids.